and you go to the Claremont High School website, it should look like this. If you can't get there, your iPad's not hooking up, because I know it's the first couple days of school. We did this in zero period, and we had one student who was having iPad issues and they couldn't hook up. You can actually do it on your phone as well. So if it's not working on your iPad, you can take out your phone. You can go here. You can go through. Just a lot smaller, but and if not, there are links on there. The counselors are going to be meeting with you individually next week for credit checks. We have college application workshops every Tuesday and Thursday starting October 1st. You all know how to access your counselor, correct? I know right now you're like, probably I don't. I just see a line over at the library and it's crazy. I can't get to them. Trust me. Hopefully this is the last day of that and we will be back to some normalcy on Monday. All right. And then I encourage you, you're not doing this on your own. We're going to guide you through this. Okay. We're going to go through some important steps that everyone has to do regardless of your post-secondary plan right now. This is a step that everyone has to do, but we're going to guide you through that. So if you have questions throughout the process, please check in with your counselor so that we can guide you through this, because it's your senior year, and now it's time to start thinking about, what am I going to do after Claremont High School? For some of you, that's applying to Cal State. Some of you, that's applying to UC. Some of you might be applying to an out-of-state public school, an in-state private school, out of state. So there's multiple paths that you're going, and some of you community college. Some of you might be going to work. Whatever it is, again, we want to be there to support you through that. But there's a piece here that we have to do within SchooLinks, depending on your post-secondary plan or goal with that. All right, so that's what we're going to cover this morning, and then we'll have some time at the end so that we can get through this for any questions that you may have. All right, is everybody good? Everybody excited about this? First week of school, counselors in are hitting you with what you want to do after school's over. Let me enjoy my senior year first. Now, it would be that, but you know, colleges in these programs have specific deadlines that we have to meet, and we don't want you to miss.
Okay.
All right. And before we get into it, let's talk deadlines, because it's extremely important. You're in high school and we have the best teachers in the world, especially Miss Stein, right? So if you have something going on and she has a deadline, and for some of you to turn in, I'm sure if you go into Miss Stein, hey, Miss Stein, this is kind of going on. I missed this. I'm sure she's probably going to be flexible and work with you. Yes, I will. Now, when we're dealing with these colleges on the other ends, we're talking applications and other things, they have strict deadlines where they're not as willing to work with you. So again, that's why it's important that we get this information out. You're working with your counselor so we don't miss anything. All right. So the first deadline for everybody in here is that we have to go through and get you onto SchooLinks and complete the FERPA. All right, which is just a waiver that you're going to fill out that allows us to send information to any program, community colleges, four-year colleges, military, anything. That FERPA release allows us to send information on your behalf. Usually it's a letter of recommendation or a transcript. All right, so everyone has to fill that out just so that we have that covered. So the place you're going to go, so you're on the Claremont High School website.
You're going to go to the Counseling and Career Department. It's the little table, and you're going to go to the counseling webpage. And there's lots of important information on the counseling webpage. There is a calendar of events. But where I really want you to focus is to look here. Number one is the counseling. There's the YouTube channel. And that is, if you miss a presentation, they're posted on that YouTube channel. But today, what I want to focus on is these college links. The first link we're under college links is SchooLinks. And that's where we're going to go today. But it also has the college to-do list. That's where you can access teacher recommendation materials, counselor recommendation materials. And if you need to submit the counselor questionnaire, that's where it gets submitted. So that college links is very important on the CHS website. So today, though, we're going to look at SchooLinks, and we're going to be talking about the FERPA. So you're going to log in with Google. Google is your school email, okay? So you're going to use you have to log in with SchooLinks using your school email. So go to the counseling. Yeah, so you're going to go to college links, and you're going to click on SchooLinks right underneath. And then you're going to click on Google, and you may have to put in your password. You got your passwords yesterday in your homeroom, or on Wednesday in your homeroom. And when you log in, so I'll give you guys a minute to log in.
And I'm logging in as Ryan Nichols. He's a fake CHS student.
When you log into
Reset.
SchooLinks, you're going to look on the left side. You are going to see they're right here on the left side. There's a list of different. It starts with home, and what we're going to focus in is college.
Has everyone got to this page? All right, so, and then we're going to go to the college tab here. So once
there's
we,
the tab, and under the college tab, it lists there's like school search, but today we're going to the favorites list, your finalist, and maybe you've been working on these, but now we're going to start working on college applications. So go to college and then college applications. Yes.
okay. And again, so once you get there, it's going to ask you get started. And this is that process where I said every student, every senior in the school must complete this FERPA. Again, this grants us permission to send information out on your behalf. All right, so the first thing is easy. You're going to put in your birthday. Everybody remembers their birthday, right? I do sometimes. I remember mine. For the sake of this, my birthday is today. Everybody wish me a happy birthday. I won't put in my birth year. All right, you're going to put in your home address. Sometimes this place feels like home to me, so I'm going to put in Indian Hill because I spend probably more time here than I do at home.
So remember, we're on the left side, college applications. And that will take you to the welcome.
Everyone got their birthday, their address in there? All right, we can go to the next step, which is hit next. This is very simple, easy. All right, this is extremely important because right now you get your iPads, you get your books, everything that you do here doesn't cost you anything, right? But when you're applying to schools and you're doing all this other stuff, they charge you per application. And you know it can get pretty expensive. So in certain circumstances, some of you may qualify for some help, some assistance with that. So this is just some questions to see. Do I qualify for a fee waiver? Can they waive that application fee for me? Do I have to pay for that? If you meet any of these things here, you check that box, and then that will be verified, and then that application is covered for you. All right. If you do not meet any of that, you're just going to check none of the above. All right. None of the above. And then you will go to next. All right, we all completed that step, or are you still reading through to see if you qualify for any of that? If you have questions on that, please check in with your counselor later, and they will kind of help you with if you have any questions on any of that, but kind of through there. Now we get to the part where you're actually going to sign off on the waiver. Again, this is important here because you might like, Mr. Anderson, what is the FERPA waiver? What does that really mean? Again, I said it gives us permission to send everything out. But this is important to note here. All right. Waiving your rights lets colleges know that you do not intend to read recommendations, transcripts. All of your counselors and teachers are going to write great letters of recommendation. No need to worry about that. I've been doing this for 27 years and I've never, ever, or will never, ever write a negative letter of recommendation on behalf of a student, which helps colleges reassure that your letters are truthful. They want to know that Mr. Anderson's not worried about what he writes in there. He's going to be truthful and honest in there. If you choose not to waive your right, some recommenders might say, sorry, I'm not going to write this letter for you. Doesn't happen. But some of the colleges might disregard your letters because they're like, I don't know if they could truly be honest because the student didn't waive their right. You have a choice on that. I highly recommend that you waive those rights there. I speak on behalf of myself. If a student came in and said, hey, can I really see what you wrote in that letter? Because I have nothing to hide from a student. I'm like, sure. But with that, so not a problem. So definitely encourage you to do that. You're going to check off this box here that you fully understand that information there. Once you check that off, then it's going to give you the option to choose. I waive my right to review all recommendations. Again, that's what's recommended not only from counselors, but that's also what's recommended from the colleges on their site as well. And then you would check off there, and then you understand that this pertains to all colleges, which I imply, and it cannot be changed. So again, you can't go back, I think I changed my mind. No, we're waiving those rights, and we're doing that there. All right, and then it'll say, I missed something here. I missed my signature there. So you're going to type in your name, and then you're going to hit sign waiver. All right, then you scroll down a bit, and down at the bottom here, again, this Mac stuff here, down at the bottom here, it's going to say submit. All right. Now, we've all submitted the waiver, correct? Yes, yes, getting close.
Thumbs up if you've submitted it.
Sorry.
Okay, questions about it? Nope, we're all good?
We're good.
Okay.
So, all of our counselors can go back and just send transcripts out for you now. All right. So, once you submit the waiver, now what's next? All right. What's next? So, again, everybody might be taking different paths. All right. If we're talking college and school links in here, when we're talking careers and everything, that's a different conversation. So, we're talking college and school links. Every post-secondary institution that you are applying to or even considering to apply to must be in SchooLinks. Guess what happens if you do not list it in SchooLinks? Anyone? Let's say I want to go to Cal Poly Pomona and I don't put it in SchooLinks. What's going to happen? I can tell you what's going to happen. Mr. Trost will not send your transcript. No, if it's not in SchooLinks, we have no knowledge that you are applying to that school and nothing is going to be sent there. So you go through that process, you apply, you pay the application fee, you get accepted, you graduate, you go home, and then an email comes in. Sorry, we rescinded your application and your acceptance because you didn't meet our deadline of submitting your transcript. Then everybody gets upset. What happened? Well, your counselor or the school didn't know that you were applying there, did not know that you were going there, did not know anything needed to be sent there, and how we send it is through SchooLinks. So everything must be in SchooLinks. So if you take anything from today, fill out the FERPA, any school that you're applying to, community college, Cal State, UC, private schools, in-state, out of the country, no matter what, it needs to be in SchooLinks. Everybody understand that? How do you get it in SchooLinks? Does anyone know? That's what we're here for. All right. So the quickest and easiest way.
Right up on the right-hand corner in the blue box, it says add application. Okay, right there.
And then we're just going to add a few. So I'm going to add one of all of those. So let's see.
Okay, so you're going to go to search colleges. So Mr. Anderson is going to, at first, he's going to add Citrus College. Okay, so if you're planning to apply to Citrus College, you can go ahead and follow along. And add this as we go. And the other thing is you do want to play with this a little bit because we want your list to be accurate. We cannot. That is how, once you've turned in your counselor questionnaire to us, if we have to write a letter of recommendation, that's how everything, that's how what we go by. So once we get this started, we want your list to be accurate. Okay, so we want you to be comfortable adding schools. And also, if you need to take one off, we can talk about that too. But right now, we're just going to talk about adding. So the important thing when you're adding a school is how are you going to apply? Okay. So for Citrus, it says school-specific online application. Okay. And it's going to have your application type. So we're going to talk about each time that we go through this, it's going to talk about the application method and the application type. So for Citrus, we're going to hit rolling.
So although we're hitting rolling, I would recommend that, community colleges says regular decision, that we have all that done. If you're interested in Citrus, we do have an early decision program that we'll talk about during senior credit checks, get that process going. So you'll probably be enrolled, done, ready to register for classes prior to that February 17th deadline. But again, we'll click that. It's going to populate that deadline in there. Where is it at over here? I'll just scroll over. So I said, I don't like Max. Okay, there we go.
There we go. There it goes. Okay. The other information that it's going to ask you is about financial aid. Okay. So this says, I will be completing a school-specific financial aid application. I will be submitting the FAFSA. I will be submitting a College Board CSS profile. For Citrus, you're going to submit your FAFSA. Okay, and if you're applying through the Promise program, that is one of the requirements is you do need to complete the FAFSA. Okay, and that's the free application
for federal student
aid.
My recommendation is that everyone completes the FAFSA, regardless of your current parent income situation or whatever. Everyone completes the FAFSA. One of those reasons is that you might find yourself applying to a private school or some school out of the state or any other place, and they require a FAFSA. Not that you're going to get any federal aid, but that's a requirement for you to be in the pool for any scholarships or anything. So again, I would recommend that everyone completes the FAFSA. There's no harm. It's a free application. We're having a workshop on October 1st about it that'll talk about any changes with that. It's really simple now. I do one every year for the last 3 years for my daughter. It probably takes her 15 minutes on her side and 10 minutes on my side now that we've done it once. That initial step for you might be a little bit longer, but you're going to do it every year, and it's very simple and quick. Years back, it used to take an hour, a couple of hours, but now as long as you have everything in place and you're ready to fill it out, you and your parents can get it done within the hour. But again, attend that workshop on October 1st because there'll be a lot of great information. But the recommendation that is everybody completes the FAFSA.
And real quick, Mr. Anderson, if they're going to trade school, they should still
correct. Any type of schooling after high school, you can qualify for money to have that paid for. So trade school, community college, 4-year college, any of that, definitely recommend completing that FAFSA.
Okay. So we're going to click, I will be submitting the FAFSA.
Yeah, this is just a checkoff list. Kind of gives you reminders once we go to this next step, which is what you'll see.
Okay. And then it's going to save your application. And then if you can look here, then here it gives you, we're going to apply via the school-specific online application, regular decision. The deadline is the 17th. Does it require a teacher recommendation? No. Okay. And then for the counselors, it does require what? It requires a transcript. Okay. Which will be uploaded to SchooLinks. So that's the benefit of having it be in SchooLinks. It will be automatic. The transcript will be automatically added.
So I would say this is one of the most important screens after you have added a school, because this tells you exactly what is required with your application on this screen here. I always say this is the student's screen that can make sure I'm staying on top of my job, because it's going to tell you what you need from me as a counselor. I know this student's applying to here, and you know that my counselor needs to send a transcript. And it'll show right here that the transcript added, and then when it's sent, you'll get an email, you'll get verification where it's sent. So this is your screen where it will tell you all the information that you need for that school. So you're on top of it, and you know that everyone else is on top of it as well. All right. So we've added one community college. We know no teacher recommendations. Counselor sends a transcript. I send my application in. I'm good. I'm ready. I'm done. Very simple for the community college. Now it's going to start with a little bit more once we start to add if we're deciding on different schools. So let's add a state school just so we can see the difference. So let's say Cal State. I might have to do it. Okay. Cal State LA. All right, I want to get on the metro and go over to Cal State LA. So when you look at Cal State LA, I know because I've been doing this for 26, 27 years. So I know the Cal States and UCs have their own application system. So if you're applying to a Cal State, it's one application for every Cal State. You don't have to, if you're applying to multiple Cal States, you don't have to do multiple applications. One application, the first 2 pages are school specific, and you send that in and it goes to all 4. All of the same information, quick application, doesn't take a lot of time. I know that, but you might not know that because this is your first time going through. So again, up here is going to tell you what application methods they offer. They only offer one, so you're going to click on that. I know as well, of doing this for years, there's one deadline for every Cal State and UC. They do not have an early action, early decision. It's one deadline, all right? I know it has that there, but that's false. There's no early action, early decision. It's just that one regular decision deadline. So Cal State, regular decision. We know the date. Again, these are reminders. Everybody's going to be completing a FAFSA. Again, from experience in doing this for years and it being part of my job, I know test scores are not required, not accepted at any Cal State or any UC. So they do not accept SAT test scores as part of their admissions process. So that's something you would not have to worry about that. That being said, make sure if you're applying to anything outside of the Cal State or the UC, you go onto that school's website and you double check. Don't just trust the SchooLinks, you double check what that school requires. Because there was, like right after COVID, a lot of schools said, okay, Let's take a step back. We don't want SAT scores. We're not going to look at SAT scores, but I can tell you probably about once a month, I'm getting an email from school saying, I think we reconsider this. We're going to be bringing back the SAT or the ACT as far as our admissions process. So to be sure, make sure you're double checking the school's website to make sure that you're not missing anything within that. All right. So once we have this information in, again, we save this application and it's going to bring us to the screen again. It's like, wow, this is Cal State. Me as a counselor, I don't have to do anything. It's easy. You as teachers, they don't have to do anything. It's easy. Doesn't require, will not accept any teacher letters of recommendation, and it will not require or accept any counselor letters of recommendation. Your job, I apply to the school, I get that application in by when? One deadline. When's that deadline? By December 1st, I get that application in and I'm good to go. There aren't any essays or anything. So again, Cal State's pretty simple. Community college, pretty simple. Not much additional information that you need or counselors have to do with that. All right, everybody good with like the community college, adding a community college, adding any of the Cal States? Perfect. All right, let's go. Let's see. What do the UCs want? So if I want, and I'm looking at a UC, what are they going to require from me? So let's see. Anybody, any UCs out there? Anybody applying to a UC? Which one? UCSD, sunny San Diego. I'll probably have to put University of California, San Diego. This thing is going slow. All right. Again. If I spell California right?
Okay. Any questions so far? No. Okay.
We just have the delay. That's it. I know, you do the easy way. Let's see, UCSD pops up. It does.
There it is.
All right. So we go to UCSD. See the beautiful campus and the ocean back there. Who would not want to go there? Again, it says UC Cal State application. I don't know why that pops up. That's why I said don't always trust SchooLinks. We know it's only a UC CSU application. There is no school-specific online application for UCSD. You're going to be applying through the UC Apply regular decision. That's the only one there. We talked about that. Again, we want everybody to complete a FAFSA, no test scores. AP test scores you will be sending later. And we save application. Wow. Again, I'm good as a counselor. I don't have to send any letter, any school report. Easy peasy for me. Good for teachers. They don't accept any letters as well. And you're good. Now, big difference and we'll talk about this more at a later time, but big difference between the Cal State and that UC app. You're going to fill them out. Everything's self-reported, no transcript. So you're going to have a copy of your transcript. You're going to put all the grades in there. For both those applications, you're going to self-report everything, and they're going to trust that you're being honest with everything in there. I highly recommend if you're doing a Cal State UC application you plan on applying, when you go to this reporting grades and everything, come to that application labs on Tuesday or Thursday and have a counselor look over it for you, because it's a little bit tricky when you're doing some things with that, where this course goes, where that course goes, if you've repeated a course. So again, I encourage you to have a counselor just glance through that before you submit that. But that's it. UCs, however, do require you to do some personal insight questions. So kind of like some essay questions you have to answer for those in the UC application. Once you do that, you turn it in by the deadline, you are good to go. All right? Pretty simple for Cal State UC.
What's the deadline for UCSD? December 1st. Okay.
All right, let's see. You know what, Mr. Anderson, I'm not considering Cal State or UC. You know what, I think I want, a small private school, but I want it to be local. All right, so we do have a lot of options there, but you know what, let's see, Azusa Pacific. Oh, let's add application, sorry. All right, so we have APU, we add application. Again, it's going to tell you application method. APU only has one application. I know, again, from doing this for years, they have one application, and it's not part of the Cal State. It's not a UC. It's not part of the Common App, which we'll talk about in a second. They have their own specific online application. So you actually have to go onto their website. They will have a link to their application, and you have to fill it out and submit it through there. So again, they're one of those few that only allows you to apply through their website and their specific application. Most schools that you're going to be applying to are going to be community college, which CC Apply, which is all the community colleges. You'll go there. Cal States are going to have their own application for all those, UCs for all those. And then most out-of-state private schools and public schools will be part of the Common App, which we'll talk about in a second. But you're going to have your few outliers that have their own school-specific application like APU.
Okay. The other, when we look at Azusa Pacific and we look at application type, how many different application types do they have? 4. Okay. We have early action, November 15th. Early decision, November 15th. Priority, March 1st. And regular decision, June 1st. Why do we think, what are the differences between these? Does anybody know the difference between those November 15th deadlines? And does anybody know between early action and early decision? Okay, the early action means that you can apply early and get a decision back, and that will help you. Early decision is binding. What does binding mean? Does anybody know? It means that you must now attend that school and withdraw. If you're accepted, you have to withdraw your other applications. Okay, so when it comes to early decision, if you're my student, I'm going to send a call slip for you and ask you, are you sure you want to apply early decision to this school? All right. And then, but that's the difference between early action and early decision. So when you look at those, you can only apply. How many schools can you apply to early decision then? Only one. Okay. So when we're looking at this application type, this is, that's very important. So Mr. Anderson, you were going to apply priority.
Yes.
Okay.
I know they have a great nursing program, and they require me to apply priority, so I'm going to apply priority there.
Okay.
Again, you look here, teacher recommendations, not accepted teacher recommendations, counselor documents. There is something different here. They require your counselor to send a transcript with your application. So when you apply there, all right, and you list it on your folder and it's in SchooLinks, your counselor knows that by that March 1st or whenever that priority deadline was, we need to have a transcript sent to APU. So again, it tells us what we need to have here, and you know exactly what needs to be sent to that school, and we have permission because you filled out that FERPA. Now again, because I've been doing this for years, I know APU does want letters of recommendation, but they're not teacher specific, they're not counselor specific. They want to know more about your character. So they actually prefer someone, because I know it's a Christian school, they actually prefer someone who knows a little bit about your faith. So if it's, if you're a pastor or someone who knows that that's what they prefer there. So again, that's why it's not there. They give you the option to send that out to specific people to write your letter. And when you're filling out that application on their website, it'll put all that information in there for you. But again, this just kind of gives you in detail what you need on our end. All right.
Okay. Should we add one more school?
I'm going to add one more school
Okay.
just to see if there's anything different, because this is where it comes into that common application, which is a little bit more complex. So I know right across the street, Pomona College.
So when we look at this application method, there's 3 ways to apply to Pomona College: through the Common App, through the Coalition for College, and through QuestBridge. Okay. So if you're in QuestBridge, you'll already be familiar with that and you'll know. So today we're going to apply through Common App. All right. So we're going to look again at the next thing we're going to look at is how we're going to apply, and then the application type. So we have, once we hit Common App, so we go ahead and then it must pick our application deadline.
I think maybe on here, because it has already linked to the Common App. So then
you have to go into Common App and pick your deadline through Common App. So we'll have to go back, and you're going to save your application. So this school, though, you can see it's missing, which means we have to go back to Common App and indicate how we would like to apply to that school through Common App. And it also has what's different from the other applications is we need to add our recommenders. Okay. So as we've talked to you before, you want to ask your junior year teachers to be recommenders. And then we also have counselor documents. There's a school report, the counselor recommendation, and the mid-year report, which is going to be your transcript after semester one. So, but let's talk about the teacher evaluations. So when we add a recommender, you're going to go in and hit the plus, and then this comes up with all the teachers that are in CUSD. So if you know, I'm going to ask, let's say, Mrs. Gomez, right? So you're going to look up Mrs. Gomez. Here she is, and we're going to add her. Okay. But let's say maybe one of your teachers is Miss Bodner, and Miss Bodner retired, then, and she's not here, then you would add her manually. Or maybe you're new to the school, and so you're going to ask your teacher from your school last year. Then you would put in their first name, your last name, and their email. Okay? So you just go ahead and just click on that add a recommender, and then if it's somebody outside, you hit add manually. Okay?
So what happens when you do this? Every time you add a teacher, let's say we added Miss Stein, because we all love Miss Stein and she writes the best letters of recommendation. Now you can get everybody to run into you for it. Miss Stein gets an email that says that you have asked her to write a letter of recommendation on your behalf. All right. I always say it's great to write a little nice note to them because it takes a lot of time. I know on average, it takes me 2 to 3 hours for one student, and I get about 60, 70 letters that I have to write. So if you do the math, that's a lot of hours that I have to fit in during that. So teachers, they're teaching 5, some of them 6 periods a day. On top of that, doing all the grading and all the lesson planning and everything that they have to do, and then adding in those letters of recommendation. So again, write them a nice note for taking that time to write you that letter of recommendation. Encourage you to ask teachers early if you haven't done so. I know when you were juniors, we asked you to do that because, again, some teachers might have a cutoff. Once I get 10 students, I can't do any more because it's hard to fit that in. So important to do that. Over here, I want to highlight this because this is where now I got some work to do. Not that I don't like it. We love this time of the year because this is where we get to read those counselor questionnaires, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and we get to see those stages that you went through as you're applying to school. So now there's a school report on the counselor's end, so that's a quick evaluation of you. That school report also requires a counselor letter of recommendation that we're going to be writing for you, and then you can see here there's a mid-year report. So those schools are going to get your initial transcript within that school report, and they ask to see your final fall grades as well. So those Common App schools, it'll tell you if you see a mid-year report, they want to see your final grades fall going into spring and any additional information that might have changed over your fall semester, your senior year. So there's different steps, different things that need to go in depending on which schools you're applying to and which application method that you're using with that. Any questions on community college, Cal State, UC, if you're applying to private school, out of state, utilizing the Common App? All right.
Okay, so let's talk about when it says teacher recommendation and counselor recommendation, submitting those materials. Okay, so on the sheet that I've given you, and this sheet is available in Ms. Stevenson's, we'll leave copies in Ms. Stevenson's office in case you lose it for some reason. There is a QR code to the counselor materials and the teacher materials. All right, there was also on the school webpage, right here at the very bottom, there is also a link. It was under college links to the teacher letter of recommendation materials and the counselor letter of recommendation materials. And right here on the counseling webpage is how you submit your counselor questionnaire. Okay. You will click into it. Can we?
Yeah, but I just want you to know that these are 2 totally different letters. So why we split them up? Because the teacher is going to write about you as a student in their classroom specifically to that. So those questions are general to you as a student that apply to that teacher writing about you. Our counselor questionnaire, 17 questions long, and it's going to ask about what community events you've been involved in, clubs, leadership, any hardships, any of that stuff. I always tell students, do not be shy. Talk about it. This is your time to brag. Tell all those great things. We read through that. This is the time of the year where if you walk into my office, you're probably going to see me with one of those folders open, highlighting, making notes, preparing to write that letter of recommendation for you, because we all write individualized, unique letters for you. It's not a form letter. It's all individualized for you. So make sure you spend time on that counselor letter of recommendation. Make sure you spend time on that teacher letter of recommendation because, again, we want to highlight you and make you stand out from the next student that is going there. With that.
On the counselor letter of recommendation, there's also a space for your parents to add information. And that's important. Talk to your parents about them. Show them that because that provides useful information for us as well. Okay. So when you submit your counselor questionnaire, you're going to go ahead and fill out this Google form. And it's going to include your name, your personal email, and have you listed your college in SchooLinks? Okay, this is very important to have that list updated, right? Because if you put a school in SchooLinks and you turn this into us, and that school, the deadline is in November, but you've changed your mind and you've added a school that's October 15th, we're not going to know. So keeping that list updated and letting us know is very important. Okay. And if you change anything past the time you submit this counselor questionnaire, we ask that you send us an email. Okay. And also your teachers so that they're aware. And I would probably follow up with just coming in to make sure that I've seen that, right? Because we want to have as much communication as possible. Because when, as counselors, when everybody fills out and submits their counselor questionnaire, then we have a very large stack. As Mr. Anderson said, it could be 50, 60 letters. And we're going to put them in order from who is due, what school is due first, okay? Because we have to have some sort of order, and we want to make sure everything's turned in on time. So if anything changes, that's why it is important to let us know, okay? Here's another thing that's important. Have you listed your colleges on your college questionnaire in order of application deadline? So when you see that, the very first page of the counselor questionnaire is your applications and the date that they're due. Okay. And now if you're using SchooLinks, that's very easy to see what you can go back through SchooLinks, but you want to put this in order from what is due first. Okay. But if that order changes, you need to let us know. Okay. And when are these? And the counselor questionnaire materials are due Tuesday, September 22nd. Everybody say it. Tuesday, September 22nd. Now, thank you.
Please be aware that this is last year's date up there. I know you guys aren't the class of 2026, correct?
Oh, so it's probably not Tuesday.
Yeah. So that's right.
Tuesday.
Just the class. The class is wrong. So don't worry about that. No big deal. The big thing is that you want to make sure this is extremely important that this sheet here matches SchooLinks, because as a counselor, this is what I go by. Because you're going to turn this in, you're going to submit it through the Google form that we were just showing you. Miss Stevenson's going to gather that, and she's going to make all these pretty nice organized folders. She's really organized, way more organized than I am. So she's going to have these blue folders. It's going to have your name label on it. This is going to be on the top of it. It's going to have every school you're applying to, regardless. If it's community college, you write it on there. If it's Cal State UC, you write it on there. You're going to write the deadline. So if I see a Cal State or UC on here, I should see December 1st for everything. Then if you're applying through Common App or anything, that's going to be on there with the deadline, the correct deadline. Because I'm going to look at that folder. I'm going to see that list of schools. I'm going to see that first school with the earliest deadline that I have to submit either a transcript or a letter. And then that's going to go into that stack. So I usually have like my November stack, my December stack, my January stack, my February stack, because I have to complete those in that order to meet the student's deadline. So that's why it's important that this is correct. Please, 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 not that you would do this, don't put that on there and put every school early action because you think your counselor is going to do everything early and get it done for you. We're kind of familiar with these deadlines. We just want that so that we can organize and we can make sure we don't miss a deadline for anyone. So any school you're applying to must be on here. Please put that deadline because that's going to keep us organized. That's what Ms. Ceccarelli was mentioning about earlier. If you add any school after you turn this in, please let us know, because I would have no knowledge, because we don't check SchooLinks every day to see, did this student add a new school on there? Because once we submit, we're done. We submit everything at one time. It doesn't matter if your application is done or not. That doesn't matter because the school's not going to download what we submit until you submit an application. then they'll put it all together. So we submit everything at your earliest deadline. Even if you're doing early action, early decision, you're waiting, we submit everything and it doesn't hurt you at all. It just comes together once your application goes in. So there is another step. I want to go back to this doc here. So it's going to ask you all those questions. Did you list everything in SchooLinks? Yes, this is just a double check FERPA waiver. We know that was done here. Do you qualify for a fee waiver? So if you qualify for a fee waiver, there is a fee for submitting transcripts we'll talk about, but if you qualify for a fee waiver, you do not have to pay for transcripts. It's free for you, so make sure you check on that. Again, use that same information on that fee waiver. If you got SAT or any of that, you'll know. If you don't know, just check in with Ms. Stevenson or check in, who's our guidance secretary. Everyone know who Ms. Stevenson is? Yes, or check in with your counselor and we'll let you know on that. Then that final step, there is transcript. So you saw when we were going through that list, you saw schools that require transcripts, schools that do not require transcripts. So if I'm applying to Cal State, do I need to submit a transcript? No. If I'm applying to a UC, do I need to submit a transcript to that school? No. So if I'm only applying to Cal States and UCs, and that's the only thing that's on my folder, how much do I owe in transcript fees? Zero. It'll be one student every year. I get their folders, only Cal States and UCs, and then I see a receipt that they paid for a transcript. It's not as bad as it used to be in the past because at one time it was $10 per school. So I would see a student with like 4 Cal States, 4 UCs, and a receipt for $80. And it's kind of like, you did not need to spend anything because they don't require it or they don't accept it. So even if I sent a transcript in, or the registrar sent a transcript in, they're just not even going to read it. So please make sure, if it's only Cal States and UCs and community college, no transcript fee. If on that list it does require a transcript, like if it's private school, APU, or any of the Common App, there is a transcript fee. It's $20 fee regardless. If you're applying to one school and they need that initial, that mid-year, and we're going to send that final transcript, so we'll send 3 transcripts, it's only a $20 fee. If you're applying to 10 schools and we're sending 10 initials, 10 mid-years, which is 20 transcripts, and that final one, 21 transcripts sent out, it's still a $20 flat fee no matter what. All right? So everyone's been onto the ASB store, correct? And purchase dance tickets or anything like that. There's a tab on there where you can purchase your transcript, and then you're just going to upload that with your counselor questionnaire here. Ms. Stevens is going to print up all of that and have that ready for us. Teacher questionnaire, that's a little bit different. Remember, we talked about those questionnaires are a little bit different. Here's a copy of the teacher questionnaire. Same thing, you're going to list the deadlines and everything there, but they only have 8 questions on there because it's about you as a student in there. You're going to turn that directly into your teacher, right? So that's the biggest difference between the counselor and the teacher. Teacher, you're going to turn directly to your teacher. Counselor questionnaire, you're going to submit through the Google form. Make sense? All right, okay. Perfect. Now, let's talk about SAT scores, or if you have to submit SAT scores. Unfortunately, we do not have access of those, and schools do not accept them from us. Those must be submitted directly from College Board or ACT. All right, College Board or ACT, if you're submitting test scores, you have to go into their website, send them directly to that campus that you're applying to. All right, if you have any questions with that, again, those Tuesdays and Thursdays is a great time to come by and ask counselors, or during lunchtime to check in with ask counselors on there as well. So I know we're running short on time, but I just remind you, there's links on here that goes to a lot of what we talked about, even requesting transcripts. On here, there's a video on writing tips, because remember, part of the UC application does require you to answer some personal insight questions. If you're part of the Common App, there are some essays that you have to write. So that's why it's time to start planning and doing that now. But I want to go over these dates on the back of these forms, because these are some important and resources that we have for you. So we're in the classrooms today. We're having a college application info night at 5 p.m. That's on back to school night. So that's for your parents to come. So your parents are going to get a lot of this information, because I always tell students, this is a team effort. We do not want you to do this on your own. We want to support you through this process, but your parents are a big part of supporting you through this process as well. So again, we want them to have this information and it'll all be collaborative and be a team approach with helping you and support you through this. We start senior credit checks next week. So starting next week on Monday, we're going to sit down and meet with every student. We're going to go over your graduation, make sure that you're graduating. We're going to go over your post-secondary plan. So if it's four-year college and university, we're going to make sure you're meeting the A through G requirements. If you're looking at community college, we'll talk about those options because we got the Stitchers Early Decision Program. If you're looking outside Stitchers at Mount Sac or Chaffee, we want to support you with that as well. If you're looking to go to work, military, whatever your post-secondary plan is, we want to make sure you have the information on that. So we're going to be checking in on that. And then we're going to ask any final questions like UC, Cal State, any of that. And we're planning on possibly having some additional workshops to invite you to if you fall into any of those categories for additional support. But those Tuesdays and Thursdays are great. I advise you, those application workshop labs, do not wait to the last minute. Do not run in on November 29th knowing that UC Cal State application is due on December 1st because the library is going to be crowded. You go in early, you're going to get a lot of support. You can get some support with, hey, can you look over my essay to see if I'm on the right track? Absolutely. But if you come in on those last days before it's done, it's going to be like, there's 30 kids here and we're running around trying to support them, so we don't have the time to sit down and help you with your essay and look over that. So start early. Start early with the process, and then we're able to support you more with that as well. Financial aid night on the 1st. There are some changes to financial aid. So even if you've had siblings who have done it in the past, or your parents have done it, there has been some changes. So I encourage you to come to that financial aid night. It's online. You don't have to come. It's Zoom. We'll be sending out links when it gets closer to that. We do have SAT, ACT testing dates and deadlines to sign up because remember, double check the school's website to see if that is required from you because there has been a lot of changes with that. And remember that big deadline at November 30th time. It says November 30th, December 1st. Can't remember exactly. It all depends on if that falls on a weekend or not. But that's that Cal State UC application deadline with that. But utilize us, all right? Utilize us those Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come by those college application labs. Check in with your counselor, especially if you have any specific questions on here. Here is this tip sheet. It covers a lot of the information that we covered today. And I know it was a lot. It might seem like a lot, but again, we're going to walk you through that process. The big thing is getting everything up and board in SchooLinks and get familiar with that. Some of you might be like, well, I really don't know what I want to do, what schools are out there. There is a search feature in SchooLinks that if you have any questions on that, check in with your counselor. We're going to have support in the library when we're doing doing senior credit checks. Ms. Diaz is going to be in there helping to support with SchooLinks questions if you have those as well. And Ms. Heil will also be around, who's our career advisor, to help support with SchooLinks questions and school search and all that if you have questions on that. So I know we have about 6 minutes, right? Because I didn't want to take up all your precious time. I want you to have some time to ask questions that you may have.